Hello everyone, welcome back to Roleplay Central. We're here in a different location, but and without John this
one
time.
One of the original. I think this was the original location.
Yeah, this was the first. The original location.
This is the original location.
So we're returning back to the same location as the first episode.
Did we do 2 episodes or 1 episode?
I think just one.
Just one.
Yeah. But we don't have John today, but we will have him next time because next time's going to be a really fun episode. But
the other set is his house.
Yeah. But today we're going to be going over a few things. We're going to be going over Uncharted Journeys, the travel, like...
It's a
what would you classify
well,
it as?
it's a book that it's like a system for travel.
Yeah.
It systematizes travel.
Yeah, I was going to say travel system, but I didn't know if that would fit right.
Yeah, it does turn... That's basically what it is.
Yeah. And then we'll talk quickly about
the new UA.
The new UA, but it's already a couple weeks old, so we're gonna trust that people have already seen it, and we're just gonna give our thoughts and stuff on it. And then our one of our subclasses that is actually going to be in the book that we announced a couple episodes ago, or maybe the last.
And it's already available on our website in the holiday bundle that we released last year.
Yeah. But it's the Glacial Archer, and we'll start with that. So, if you want to go first.
Okay, so the first... first I'll go over the spells, because it's got additional spells that it gets at 3rd, 5th, 9th, 13th, and 17th. Mm-hmm. It gets Expeditious Retreat at 3rd, Hold Person at 5th, Sleet Storm at 9th, Ice Storm at 13th, and Cone of Cold at 17th.
Always fun that you can fire and cold are the one thing that you can easily choose additional spells for. Well, I mean, it's always a ton.
Yeah, except for second level, there really wasn't much at all until the new the new book, Fizban's Guide to Dragons.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
There's a spell called Rhymes Binding Ice. That would be a good option here. We couldn't involve it here though because it's not in the SRD. So if you're allowing the subclass and you want a more ice themed thing for a 5th level spell, I would use Rhymes Binding Ice for sure.
I completely agree with that.
But Expeditious Retreat is in there. That seems like an off pick because there are ice themed stuff, right? But that Expeditious Retreat goes into the first feature.
Yeah, it's dealing with movement, which is
it basically gives you the ability to dash as a bonus action, I believe, is what that spell does. I don't have it.
Yeah, I think so. That sounds about right.
And you can do it for a certain amount of minutes.
Yeah.
Anyways, Glacial Slide is the first feature, and it basically snow and difficult terrain made of ice and snow don't cause you extra movement to move through, and you can. Basically, when you take the dash action, you can slide on ice, and this was your idea. Originally, it was your idea for the Cryomancer Sorcerer, but we ended up using it here.
I don't know where I got it from, but I think it was having to do with something Mortal Kombat. And
I believe you got it from you wanted to be able to slide what's that guy? Sub-Zero.
Yeah, Sub-Zero.
But yeah, that's. And that triggers off of Expeditious Retreat, so that's why I had that at level 3. And at
higher levels, you get more movement too, right? So you get 10 extra feet of movement, and then it increases to 20 at 15th level. So
and then all ranger or most rangers get damage buff at 3. So I just the damage type was easy, so I went with cold. So you get a d6 extra cold damage, and then when you on their first attack each of your turns, and then when you hit 11th level, it increases to 2d6. So that's pretty standard.
Yeah,
almost all rangers get it. Right.
And it's pretty self-explanatory for a Glacial Archer that this is going to be dealing a lot of cold damage. Or having to do with a lot of cold.
The name is a little misleading because this is actually... it's almost better in melee than it is at range.
Yeah. This would be an interesting multi-class now that I think about it. Like you could take a few levels in this up until you get like ice arrows or cold resistance, and then switch to something melee focused.
But no, I mean that's what I'm saying. Yeah. This could more easily be a melee ranger than a ranged ranger.
Yeah.
And then 6th, or is it 7th? It's 7th.
7th level. Yeah.
Yeah, you get cold resistance, which is just resistance to cold damage.
Yep. And then I think this last ability, wasn't this based off of like the Overwatch Mei character or something, or was this something else?
No, this was
at some point we had that idea for something, but that might be the Cryomancer.
That was for the Cryomancer.
Yeah,
but we ended up changing that too.
Yeah.
This ability is called Deep Freeze, and basically if you deal cold damage consecutively, like on one turn and then on another turn, they actually have to make whoever took the cold damage has to make a con save against your spell save DC, or they get restrained in the ice until the beginning of your next turn. And then they're auto slowed if they successfully save. They're still slowed by a little bit,
which is always good. And 11th level, you need a lot.
Yeah, and I wanted something that triggered off of the 3rd level feature. It's always good when a subclass
scales on itself.
Yeah, scales based on its own features.
Yep.
This last feature was your idea. And it basically
it was so long ago I can't.
Well, you wanted an ability that was like when Dumbledore deflected
that's right.
Spell,
yeah, that's what it was. Yeah,
the spell that was coming at Harry and him.
Yeah.
So basically, when you or a creature within 5 feet of you are hit by a ranged attack, you can conjure an ice barrier. Not a nice barrier, an ice barrier.
A nice barrier.
It could be either way. You block the attack and transform the projectile into harmless snow.
Yep.
And I added that magic weapons and ammunition are blocked but not turned to snow, because that would be cheap.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the Glacial Archer. This is one that was kind of. Was it? I think it's probably one of our easiest ones that we've had so far. Like in creating all the stuff that we've done, like I think this came together really quickly.
Well, I mean, the quickest thing that we ever put together was that on one of our episodes.
Oh yeah,
because we did it in like an hour.
Yeah, this is a deflection monk. We'd already thought about that for a whole week.
That, by the way, is on our website too. It's on our blog. It's a blog post.
All right. Well, that is the Glacial Ranger. You can get it on our website through the holiday bundle, like you said before.
It's pretty cheap.
Yeah, and then
it comes with several other things.
It'll also be.
There's a gimmicky Santa Claus themed paladin.
Yeah, and then there's two races.
The Frostburn
and the elf.
The Workshop Elf.
Workshop Elf subrace.
Yep.
Yeah. So a lot of stuff in that holiday document that is worth checking out if you want to. Yes. That paladin's so fun. The Mecha Santa abilities.
I based it entirely on the Tim Allen Santa Claus movies.
Yeah.
And there's references to those movies in the features.
Yeah. So check that out if you're interested.
At 20th, you can transform into Mecha Santa.
Mm-hmm. And it's also going to be in our book coming out soon.
No, that one's the Paladin's not.
Not the Paladin, but the Glacial Ranger will be.
Yeah, the Glacial Ranger.
Along with a bunch of other stuff that we'll have some more information on very soon. But I think.
What do you think about what they did to Barbarian?
I think this was much better of a Unearthed Arcana. I agree with most, if not all, of the changes.
Yeah, I stole the Brutal Strike for my own.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Brutal Strike is really good. I like that it uses your reckless attack as like a resource to use it. They give you back a rage when you finish a short rest.
That's awesome. Which actually is a common thing amongst the rest of them now. Is everything has been given
something
on short rest. Yeah, which is a lot better. Because I feel like it just might be just me, but I feel like short rests aren't like prioritized. They're not really that worth it. In most cases, it feels like, but now it will be if this stuff continues to be added on.
They're running the right now. They're running the survey for this.
Yeah.
So you can go on there and tell them what you think about it.
Yeah, and I'm not sure how long that survey is going for.
I know it's still going on right now because I was just barely looking.
Yeah.
So it's still going.
Yeah. But probably nearing the next Unearthed Arcana within the next like few weeks, I'd bet.
But I honestly think at a higher level, it should just start. You should start getting one back at the beginning of an encounter.
Yeah, I think Barbarians Rages should just be. That should be a very common thing to get. Like it's not like overpowered a rage.
Well, and it's a feature that Barbarian kind of needs to function in every encounter. You need your rage.
Well, and the fact that it just ends if you're not dealing combat damage or dealing damage or anything like that in itself is just like there's a.
Well, it doesn't anymore. I don't think. Well, I didn't print off the whole thing, so it's not here. No. But yeah, I don't think it does that anymore. But yeah, I would just get rid of that.
Yeah. But I was just saying, like, if that is still there, which sounds like it isn't, but if it was, like, there's already an implied, like, downside. So, it doesn't make sense to
it would
make it even worse by not giving them any uses.
A lot of 5e features would be benefited by taking them back to like 4E mechanics. I know you haven't really read into 4E at all, but basically 4E, you had daily powers, which are once per day powers. You had encounter powers, which is a power that you can use every encounter, and then you had at will powers, right? And everything was based on this system. Right, every ability that you had was either a daily power, an at-will power, or an encounter power, and like I feel like this would just benefit way more, like from that action economy, right, where you could just use it every encounter. You get one use every encounter, right, and I think that would be better than what we have.
Yeah, well, I mean, right now. So I think they said, I'm trying to remember back when I was listening to talk about this.
I think Druid would gain from that too.
I think you get 7 uses of a rage, right?
You get up to 6.
Up to 6, okay, yeah.
Which is a nerf, which I'm still not a fan of, right? Because originally in the 2014 version it goes infinite at 20, which I think is better.
Yeah.
Right, but I think
it's kind of crazy, like kind of fuzzy that.
Yeah, I don't like that it's 6.
The jump from like level 16 to 20, like in 4 levels, you just be every class
and I think
that just becomes insane.
I think the same thing with the 4E mechanics could be done to like Druid, right? Because you could give them like a lower powered wild shape that they could use at will, and then you give them a more powerful one that they can use that's an encounter power, right? So when they're in encounter, they can transform into something bigger, right?
Yeah,
I think that would be cool for the Druid.
But would that be
4E had a lot of good mechanics.
Yeah. But would that be allowing the Druid too many uses of a wild shape and just like they're constantly something different?
No, because I think that makes sense for the Druid. I mean, Wizards of the Coast thought it made sense for the Druid in the movie.
Yeah, but I mean, they didn't 100% base that off of the actual Druid because it didn't
they didn't base that off of the game, but it's more intuitive, right? If you're a Druid, you can transform into stuff. I don't think it should be limited at all.
Interesting.
I think regular wild shape shouldn't be limited at all.
Huh. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of.
But I think it makes it would be easier on people who are stuck in their ways in the hyper limited wild shape camp to just give them a weaker version that's free, and then make a little bit more powerful version of an encounter power.
Yeah, I could go for that.
But
like I said, I can go either way on that. But
yeah, a lot of people are stuck in the hyper limited camp for druids. Okay, now the world tree.
But that's also, in my opinion, well deserved, because at level 20 they just become they never
in
die.
my version.
in the I forget what the circle is.
Yeah,
what the subclass is, but like most people go with that if they want to be able to wild shape.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah.
Anyways,
world tree.
Yeah, the world tree
That got a bunch of changes.
Yeah, I like it much more now.
You like it a lot more now.
Yeah,
you like
much more
now.
It just all fits.
I haven't looked too much at it, but what did you like about it?
Well, everything now, like this one right here, the temporary hit points.
First time we looked at it, you didn't like that it was naturey and it seemed like a druid to you. That's what you said.
Yeah, but now it's dealing like with more. I don't know how to say it. It's dealing more with physical attributes, like increasing range and giving you temporary hit points and stuff like that, as opposed to just stuff a druid would have. Instead of like transferring over stuff from druid over to barbarian, it felt like with the previous versions. But like the vitality of the tree ability that provides temporary hit points to the barbarian, I think is awesome, because the first thing, the best thing you could add to a barbarian is just more hit points, because they can do all kinds of damage. You don't need to buff the damage. They just need to stand there longer and absorb more.
But yeah, I don't really have much to say about that one.
Yeah.
And then we have the monk. Now they fixed a lot in the monk.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what the all the changes were, and it's been a couple weeks since
tons of changes. They nerfed and buffed stunning strike.
Yeah,
right, because now you can't repeatedly use it on a turn, which is bad.
Yeah.
They buffed deflect.
Every hit's like stunning strike.
Deflect missiles now does a bunch of what. Well, it does some of what we built into that deflection monk, but I don't care. It's based on the 2014 monk, not this monk. Yeah, they killed weapon mastery, which I think is a good idea.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The
less on weapons.
They
did all kinds of stuff to it. Yeah.
Which one was it that I was looking at?
Oh yeah, and I loved what they did at level 20. They did the same thing that Barbarian gets, which is you just get +4 to your two main stats, basically.
Yeah. Weapon mastery no longer there.
Yeah.
But the class is actually, I mean, they're finally heading in the right direction. Monks were already overpowered.
No, yeah, I like the
This
changes.
is a lot better now that you can't stun everything every single time you hit. Like, I mean,
that's worse.
That's
objectively worse.
Yeah. Yeah, it's worse, but like, man, a lot of DMs are made happy by that. Now their creatures actually get to do something. Sometimes they still get stunned.
No, but because it's a hyper limited resource that you have to use, so it's like one encounter you might get a little peeved, but you throw another encounter at them and they can't use any of that. So it wasn't as unfair as a lot of people say that it is. It's not unfair.
I'm one of those people that I thought it was like, come on,
it's
man.
like that.
This
that
feels
level
like all you ever hear
the level 21
is just
shot,
like stunning strike.
The level 21 shot that we did, I only used it 3 times.
Yeah,
I only used it a few times.
Mm-hmm.
Right, because it's a big resource suck.
Yeah, I almost feel like stunning strike was used more than flurry of blows, though, at a certain point, right? Because
not in that game.
In that game, but like I'm basing this off of like internet games and listening to other people play monks.
Yeah,
like,
but that's the thing. They only have that in like one encounter. Yeah. It's like,
well, like
you
if
get past
we're,
that, there's like,
I bring this up all the time,
Yeah.
but like Critical Role, like
you would hate my version of the monk.
like Beauregard, like all she did, like she hit would either go flurry of blows or stunning strike, and most of the time it was stunning strike, and then she'd spend another key point to do flurry of blows, and that's too much.
Yeah, the version of monk that I built, you would hate if you think that. So because that version can use stunning strike a lot more.
Oh boy,
and consistently.
Oh boy.
But you haven't looked through my version yet.
Yeah, I haven't looked through it yet.
Yeah, I did a version of all of the 12 original classes, and just added my own ideas to it. And basically, I took all of the limiters off.
I get how it would be cool. Like it is cool to do that stuff, but like from the point of the DM, which I like to think of most of the time, it's like stunning strike just gets so annoying so quickly. It's just
in one encounter.
But like maybe that encounter was the encounter. It's like, oh well, now my monster's just dead.
I mean, it's the same thing as the people who freak out about the luck feat. It's like it's not that bad to give them advantage 3 times in a day. You do a lot more than. I mean, that if you're smart, that gets spent in like 1 or 2 encounters, right?
Yeah.
Right, but people, people still whine all day about the luck feat.
Yeah, I can understand both sides of lucky, but I think it's fine. Just like and I get your point too about the monks.
Yeah, it's a limited, it's a hyper limited resource.
Yeah.
That they have to use for stunning strikes, so that, like it's not as optimal as people who complain about it say that it is.
Yeah. Also, like, didn't they? Was it this version or the last version of the Unearthed Arcana? Did they change key to like discipline
points?
Yeah.
Discipline.
What do you think of that change?
I think it's fine.
I don't know. I think.
Yeah.
I mean, people are still going to call it key.
Yeah, I don't really care about it.
Yeah. I wonder what the reason for the name change was.
I don't know. It was probably political because they wanted to get away from like the Asian theme that they with key.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyways, they changed Warrior of the Hand, which used to be Way of the Hand. Way of the Open Hand, I mean.
They did a big change to Quivering Palm, didn't they?
Quivering Palm. Let me see. 4 discipline points.
Well, this is what they changed over here.
Oh. Yeah, I know, but this is what they changed from the last change.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm just... because I know the original feature, I'm just looking at it from that lens.
So for those who don't know what we're looking at, it's the ability that puts vibrations on a creature, and then at your leisure you can choose to have them stop, and they have to succeed on a save or they just die. At least that's how it was. I don't know if it changed.
Well, they take a bunch of damage if they don't die.
Okay.
Oh, you replace an attack with this action now. That's different.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing I noticed on this one was the ultimate ability, basically, on this subclass.
Yeah.
But it's a good thing. It's a good thing that Unearthed Arcana exists because they can nerf and buff, and it's not affecting the overall thing. But I mean,
it will.
It will eventually, but it's good playtest.
Yeah.
But also, here's a kind of offhand tangent. What do you think about will the release schedule of the new player's handbook and stuff be offset now that the whole thing happened with Hasbro? in the layoffs.
Well, I don't know if the releases can be offset. I know that they released release dates and then they deleted the posts that said the release dates, but they didn't say that was because they were pushing it back. They just deleted the posts.
Yeah.
So they still might be coming out in May.
Yeah, I know that was just like, that was accidental. Like the person, I guess, didn't know they weren't supposed to put the dates on there. So
yeah,
they were supposed to release something else. But the fact that they had that graphic made up already probably meant
they buffed a bunch of the heal spells.
Yeah, healing.
But I mean, it like as far as I can tell, that's not gonna fix the healing problem, right? That most people have with healing, which is
you don't heal enough.
Well,
or it doesn't. You get hit. And
well, no, it doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't last. But
yeah, I think they said in the video version they were exploring ways to make that worth it, and to make that like
power word fortifies
to help
in your
with
spell. Power word. They changed a bunch of the conjure spells.
I thought about a fix to that healing problem that you brought up.
What did you think?
I thought maybe you could.
I honestly think temporary hit points are the fix to it, but
yeah, I mean that could work. But I think you put whenever you cast a spell, like whatever amount you gain is like a lock, and you can't be knocked below that amount of hit points
for a certain amount of time.
Just for like until the next turn or something. You know, like to prevent the immediate, like I just gained 100 health and then this pick a big monster, Trask, knocks me down to 0. Like that's pointless of me gaining the life, you know?
Yeah, well, I think most of the healing should be given in temporary hit points. Either that or...
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah. I can go for either one.
But yeah, give them a small amount of hit points and then a bunch of temporary hit points is what I would do.
Yep. All right. Well, I think...
And then... So we're going to go over that book, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's it for Unearthed Arcana. So, for now, let's start with...
Yeah.
Let's see. So I have for Uncharted Journeys to start off with the rolls.
Yeah. So this is a system that... it's a book that systemizes travel, which is what we said in the beginning. Yeah. But each player gets to pick a role, right? This is after... So that's not the first step, but that's this... Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe we'll touch on rolls when we get to the step that they're in.
Yeah, the first step is entirely on the DM, really.
Yeah, establishing origin and destination.
Yeah, how far is the journey and how hard's the journey going to be, because that determines the difficulty level of the journey. And during the journey, when you do the journey, you have to each of the players rolls against the difficulty. And then that can modify the amount of encounters that they have on the journey, basically.
Yeah. And they have a table that's super helpful. I think it's called the distance table or something.
Yeah,
it shows all of these things and it really helps you set up a...
Yeah, and it gives you examples of all the different weather type, the weather types-ish and the terrain types, right, to determine the difficulty level and the DC for that check. It can be anywhere between 12 and 30, the difficulty level.
Yeah, I got to bring that.
Yeah,
They have an example for how it works, and I want to read it real quick. I just got to go to my email and get it.
But yeah, the first thing that you do is you come up with the difficulty level and stuff like that, and then the players get into what they're doing.
Yeah. All right. So, like the example they give you is,
you're talking about the examples for the different types of terrain and weather.
Well, just like what they give you.
Oh, you're talking about that little paragraph.
Yeah. So, like the GM's deciding on the difficulty for a party's journey to Stonewood, from Stonewood to Sunrise Institute, and the party they're traveling during the spring, so it's mostly clear, which gives them a value of 2 for the weather. And then the GM's looking at a route that is across the deep, dark, dense forest and steep hills.
So it's a really hard terrain, really easy weather.
Yeah, which gives you a higher value of like 6 out of 10 on terms of difficulty. Yeah. And then the average of those two is like a 3. So,
well, you don't average it out. You add it up.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this said it averaged it out. You add 10 plus all those modifiers, and then
plus the
that's your DC.
Yeah.
Well, they decided to go for an average value of like 3 for the difficulty of the whole thing.
Yeah, but I mean that's a DM. That's a
DM
different thing.
But doing that example helps to reading through that example helps to like make things make sense. And with their table that I'm looking at right now, their journey difficulty table, like they have a lot of different options. Just
those
like
are just examples.
Yeah,
of
just
different
examples.
Types of weather and different types of terrain.
Well, like anything you come up with, you should be able to, in some way, link to one of these examples.
Well, yeah, because they're just examples. They're not meant to be exact.
Yeah.
But
and I really like this system. Like
the difficulty, and then each player rolls against the difficulty separately, based on what their role is.
Yeah.
Right. Each role. What are the different roles? I forget the type, the specific names of them.
So the roles are
to the beginning.
Yeah. Sorry. So we've got.
It's like quartermaster.
We've got leader, outrider, quartermaster, and sentry. All of those.
Yeah, and each of those gets specific ability checks that they can make for the difficulty check. Right, and then that helps determine how many encounters that they have to do.
Yeah.
Throughout the journey.
One of the things that I have written down is I think I didn't think I was going to like this as much as I do now. After reading through more of it and understanding it a little bit more, I think the roles are a really cool thing. Really, really fun. And my favorite is this Outrider. Because its ability is like you roll on a table at the same time the DM rolls for an encounter, and then he tells you like the surface level of like what
involved, the encounter is,
and then you get to choose what encounter you do, which is pretty cool.
Yeah,
it's kind of metagaming a little bit. But
it's one of the so each of these roles has one ability that they can use once per journey, basically, and that's their little ability they get to use.
Yeah, that one just out of all of them that caught my eye, and I really like the leave no stone unturned thing that they can do too.
Yeah, that's one of the options for their group travel check. But yeah, and then the book, you have anything else for that chapter, that part of it? So step 2 is preparation. So that's the next thing. So the party gets their roles and they can prepare. They can do one thing to prepare, right? And that goes from anywhere between like there's a bunch of options like brewing potions, hiring people. Making sure
they have a whole table for like how to hire hirelings and stuff too, I think.
Yeah. So it's a little table, but yeah, it's basically like you can do one or more of these things to prepare for the journey, and it's supposed to make the journey easier if you do well. And then part 3 is actually just doing the journey, is going on the journey.
Well, also we forgot to mention
what
that classes are involved too, as in addition to roles.
Yeah. It goes into a little bit on each of the classes and gives extra features.
Yeah, I really like the fact that you're allowed to use hit dice to do different things. Like recover spell slots is a huge thing. And like bardic inspiration as well. And really all of the like staple abilities of the main classes you can get back.
Yeah,
with
hit all
dice.
of them, I think.
Like you can spend hit dice to regain the use of a channel divinity. You can spend a number of hit dice to regain an equal amount of key points. Stuff like that, and that's really cool.
And it's worth noting that the reason this is important is because the game doesn't intend for you to take long rests during the journey.
Yeah,
You can take short rests, but you're basically doing these encounters, and you're not getting to take a long rest. So you need this stuff to sort of recharge.
And you see, I think the way they do the short rest and stuff is like a sort of way I think D&D in general should move towards. Is because I like that I like when people will use more short resting than long resting, because not only does long resting technically take longer, but there's also like there's advantages to short resting, like the fact that you can just keep on going and going and going off of a short rest, as opposed to having to sit there for 8 hours and then getting your stuff back, and then that's how and you finally get to choose your spells for the day and stuff like that. I think allowing that stuff to be done on a short rest would unlock a lot more customizability for characters. But that's just me.
But yeah, that's why they added ways to recharge.
Yeah,
basically. And then it gets into actually going on the journey, and it has the players make the checks, right? Make the checks to determine how many encounters there are going to be, and then from there it's you're going on the journey, you're doing the encounters. It's normal play.
And for the DM, this is where this release shines, because they have taken into account everything can be rolled on tables pretty much when it comes to the encounters.
Yeah, then they go on in further chapters, they go through every terrain type, and then there's 12 different encounter types, and so every encounter type gets a table in each terrain type.
And they're each a D10 table.
So you have tons of options depending on the terrain that you're traveling in.
Yeah, I put down there's 16 different regions with 12 D10 tables for each region.
Per region.
So that's a lot.
Hugely useful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then it goes
like there. Options.
Yeah, and then there's everything like you were mentioning earlier on before we started the podcast was the ancient ruins building.
Yeah, there's a chapter on building ancient ruins, and it's I was just saying it's a really good idea for like world building.
Yeah,
right.
Because that goes into a history of it and age and all that stuff. Like it's really detailed, really well thought out. Even the same thing goes for NPCs and stuff, like because you can roll up why they're coming and showing up, and
there's a bunch of NPC tables.
Yeah, and like what's their motivation and
it's really
how
good.
They act.
It's just a really good, solid DM like resource.
Yeah,
there's not much for players here, but there's a lot for DMs.
Well, in a way, the whole thing is just it's extending your game throughout the entirety of a character's lifespan, not just like skipping over travel like it's Lord of the Rings and we just see a couple of cutscenes. It's
Lord of the Rings didn't skip travel. They spent a lot of time on the travel.
Yeah, so I guess they did.
That may be a bad example. That's a bad example.
But like,
but
like most games, and I'm speaking generally here. Not everyone does
most
this,
RPGs.
But people will typically skip over the travel. Like, okay, it takes this amount of time to get there. Here's an encounter to, along the way.
It's usually either you do that, like either you basically skip it, or you do like the Matt Mercer thing, which is you hammer it out every single day of the travel.
Yeah,
right.
Which he
doesn't really do time skips.
This kind of hits the middle.
He does it sometimes.
Yeah, this kind of hits the middle, where it's establishing what your travel is going to look like across the whole timeline, but it's not like breaking it down day by day and session by session.
Yeah, it's more so breaking it down encounter by encounter.
Yeah,
with short rests in between.
Which
sometimes.
you could have a journey that maybe the DM meant to be a certain distance, but actually ends up being not that long.
And I mean, if players fail their travel checks. Then at the beginning of the journey, if they fail their travel checks, then I would like I might increase the difficulty. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean, of the actual thing.
Yeah. And then let's see what else I put down here. Also, yeah. So points of interest are also fully fleshed out.
Yeah.
And
there's a lot of good stuff.
You can make just not just like runes and stuff, but like the same basic process can be used for any location you come up with. You can use the same basic premise of establishing history and all this stuff in the same way to really create anything. And you can use your imagination on that. I guess the other thing is just like this is. I put down. This helps make travel an actual main quest, like to do thing, instead of a simple side note.
It makes it important. It makes it a little bit more important.
And I feel
most DMs online are skipping travel. Yeah. Basically.
And this slots in, obviously going without saying, but I'm going to say it anyway. Slots in perfectly in any campaign, any sort of one shot. Yeah,
if you have to journey, I think the baseline is like 50 miles. So if you have to journey like past like more than 50 miles, anywhere, then if it's more than a few days journey, then this is a good book to use.
Yeah, and I'm glad you showed me this because this is a really cool book. And I probably would not have seen it otherwise, to be honest.
Yeah.
Where did people find it?
I got it on Drive-Thru RPG.
Okay.
But it was Mike Shea's video, the Sly Flourish.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was his video promoting it a couple months ago.
Oh, cool.
He made a video about it.
Yeah.
Recently. And that's where I heard about it. That's when I bought it.
Cool. Well, I think that covers everything we have for this episode. It's pretty perfect on time.
Yeah.
Tune in next time.
Yep.
Be sure to be here because
we're gonna do a little bit of world building. And we're gonna play Microscope.
And it's going to be a multi-episode type of thing.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to do it in chunks.
Yeah.
Because there's no way we get it done in one day.
No.
In one recording.
There's a lot.
So next session, we're not in a game here. I guess we kind of are, but next time we're gonna be doing a pretty long episode. So be prepared for that. But thanks everyone for tuning in to this episode and just hanging out with us. And we'll see you guys in the next one.